Yep, this is 2 in the morning. I have no idea when I'm ever going to start filming at a reasonable hour. Probably never. Who needs sleep, right? Hey guys, welcome to my channel where we are going to be breaking down, discussing, and recommending films, TV shows, and occasionally other forms of media. And this segment is called Cinema Playlist, where I recommend movies and TV shows based on a theme. And we're making real scientists cringe with another Zodiac video. Boom! For those of you just joining me, I love astrology. As a person who wants to be a master storyteller, I love myths and legends that pair with the Zodiac. And for something that's not based in science, astrology is hella accurate, which is amazing because f*** science. I hate science with all my heart. But enough talking science, let's do a brief description on astrology and the Zodiac that I copy and pasted from Wikipedia. So astrology is the study of the movements and positions of celestial bodies such as the sun, moon, and planets, and how it affects people in the natural world. It is a pseudoscience. So if you bring astrology to any person in the science field, like a zoologist or a chemist, they're going to look at you like a dumb and walk away. But we don't care, because science. The Zodiac is an imaginary band in the heavens centered on the ecliptic, that encompasses the apparent paths of all planets and is divided into 12 constellations or signs, each taken for astrological purposes to extend 30 degrees of longitude. I have no idea what the that means. Yeah, science. But before I start recommending, let's deep dive into this complex, passionate sign, Scorpio. The sign Scorpio is a water sign formed between October 23rd through November 21st. Feminine zodiac signs tend to be more receptive, magnetic, and have strong resources. Scorpio's special colors are rich reds like crimson, burgundy, and maroon that represents their passionate nature. A little bit too passionate for my liking, but what can you do? So the characteristics of a Scorpio is that they are imaginative, emotional, subtle, persistent, intense, obstinate, and unyielding. They love order and being in control. That is the one thing I notice the most in Scorpios. They try to control their environments and the people around them, which can cause a lot of conflict with them. They also think in black and white. It's this or that. Everything should be in a neat little box. They don't do well in the gray area, and for a Libra, that gets on my nerves. Me and other Libras know that everything is gray, but good luck trying to convince a Scorpio because they are very staunch in what they believe and won't change it for a god thing. Like, I have two very close family members that are Scorpios, and I can't. I know, like, there are some great Scorpios, but Jesus Christ, it's like those two particular family members, I'm just like, I can't deal. They can be very brooding, jealous, resentful, and vengeful. They also don't trust easily and very picky on who they choose let into their lives. But when they deem you worthy of their love, attention, and respect, you have the most loyal, affectionate, and generous friend, family member, and romantic partner. They are very intense. A lot of the times, they don't have a problem with confrontation if provoked or started by them. They will always fight back, and when they do, they go for the jugular, and they give zero if they are angry. Right. But the positive flip side to their intensity is that when they have a goal, they will move mountains to get it done. Or when they love you, they will take care of you tenfold. Scorpios, like other water signs, Cancer and Pisces, they are emotional. They wear their emotions on their sleeves. If they don't like you, you'll know. If they're down with you, you'll know. And if they are upset, you'll know. They can be very transparent with how they feel. Although compared to Cancer and Pisces, they're the most reserved with showing emotion. They most likely will not cry in front of you or talk about their feelings, but they do feel a lot. They have a lot going on inside. And also, like other water signs, they can be psychic. They are good and ruthless at reading people. Scorpios are high achievers because they are determined, have incredible willpower, and never make false promises. They so hate being so don't even try with the lies. If you do, run. So the ruling planet for Scorpio is Pluto. In Roman mythology, Pluto is the god of the netherworld and the dead. In astrology, Pluto rules regenerative forces, the beginning and ends of phases in life. The symbol for Scorpio is the scorpion. Surprise! Scorpios are deadly secretive creatures. Because of that, Scorpios are normally disliked. You know, I wonder why. They look so friendly. But in ancient Egypt, scorpions were deified in the form of Selket, the scorpion goddess. Selket is the daughter of Neith, goddess of the universe that created everything, and Khnum. Khnum is the Egyptian god that created the Nile. Selket herself is the goddess of fertility, nature, animals, medicine, magic, and healing. And she wears headdresses or crown that looks like a scorpion. She's associated with scorpions because they are dangerous creatures that can kill you. I know, shocker. And back in the olden days of ancient Egypt, healthcare was basically the same as American healthcare, which is if you don't have gold, then lay down and choke. Selket was your girl to protect and heal you from venom. Not only that, she was also the protector of the dead and commonly seen on ancient Egyptian tombs. In Greek mythology, the myth of the Scorpio revolves around the character Orion. There are multiple versions of the myth of Orion. Generally, Orion is a beautiful young hunter and a giant. He was the son of sea god Poseidon and a princess from Crete. One of the perks of being a son of Poseidon is that Orion can do party tricks like walk on water. In most versions about him, he's whole and deserves to be tossed in the trash. And also, trigger warning for sexual assault. In one popular iteration of Orion, one time he got drunk and assaulted a princess. Her father found out about it and correctly went to go whoop his ass. The father blinded Orion's big ass and sent him running to Helios, the sun god, to heal him. After that, Orion somehow, some way, gained the favor of Artemis, goddess of the hunt and virgin girls, and her mother Leto, and went hunting. I still don't understand how I still don't understand why Artemis likes this dude, but okay, we will try to vibe. Orion threatened that he was going to kill all the animals, and somehow Artemis was cool with it. Apollo, god of music and light, and also Artemis's twin brother, of all people, mind you, Apollo is a shitty guy also, stepped in and was like, hell nah, and took Orion out with a giant scorpion. Other versions say that Artemis was in love with Orion. I don't know why, he sounds musty. Does he sound musty to you? Because he sounds musty to me. He sounds hella rank. And we don't do rank here. So anyway, she was gonna go forward with a relationship with him, but Apollo again was like, hell nah, and tricked Artemis into killing Orion. Another version where Orion is the biggest asshole on Earth, where he tried to assault Artemis in retaliation. She sent the giant scorpion. But whatever version you choose, consistently he gets taken out by a scorpion. And he becomes the constellation Scorpio, either because of Zeus or Artemis. So famous Scorpios include Ryan Reynolds, Drake, Katy Perry, Marie Antoinette, Picasso, Martin Scorsese, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Now that we thoroughly discussed the sign Scorpio, we can now start recommending. The first one we got, one of my favorites, Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is directed by Quentin Tarantino, starring queen of blaxploitation and all around a national treasure, Pam Grier, Samuel L. Jackson, Robert De Niro, and Robert Forster. So Pam Grier is the title character, Jackie Brown, a beautiful airline stewardess with a rocky past. To make ends meet, she helps move money around for an illegal arms dealer named Ordell, but is caught by the authorities and becomes a liability to Ordell. To save herself, she plots and schemes her way out of trouble with the help of her romantic interest, Max Cherry, a bondsman. Getting a little cash out the situation doesn't hurt either. Jackie gives off a lot of Scorpio vibes. She's secretive. Even though we do get a little bit of her backstory, she's still mysterious and unattainable. I've watched this movie hundreds of times and I still feel I don't quite know her. I don't mean this in a bad way. It leaves you wanting to get to know her more. She's also observant of other people and her surroundings, and she uses what she notices to her advantage. Like, her intelligence is Machiavellian level. It's beautiful, sexy, and alluring without even trying. Even when she looks rough because she just got out of jail and standoffish, she still made Max Cherry fall in love with her. She exudes confidence in everything she does, from her walk, her tone. She even makes an airplane stewardess uniform look so goddamn cool. And her style when she is not at work is also so stunning. Fiercely independent and unwavering and decisive with her choices. Never second guesses herself and goes all in, which is a staple in Scorpio nature. Like, the movie is just so goddamn cool and collected. It's far from Tarantino's most recent work like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Inglourious Basterds, where everything is grandeur and larger than life. So if you haven't seen Jackie Brown, do yourself a favor and give it a watch. The film is Tarantino's most restrained work so far, but it's still funny, tense, and the craftsmanship is on point and airtight. And Pam Grier is Pam Grier. So the second movie I recommend is Casablanca, made in 1942, directed by Michael Curtiz. The story takes place during World War II in Casablanca, a city in Morocco. A cynical nightclub owner named Rick Blaine, played by Humphrey Bogart, drinks, smokes, and has short-lived flings and doesn't engage with anything. Damn. Mood. But when his ex Elsa, played by Ingrid Bergman, shows up with her husband Laszlo, a war rebel against the Nazi, as anyone should be, right? Right, you guys? Remember when we all agreed that Nazis were bad? What the happened to that? The is on the run and trying to escape Casablanca. So Rick is confronted with two choices. Get out of his feelings and help Elsa and Laszlo escape so Laszlo can continue fighting against the Nazi, or be a selfish and be with Elsa. Film students and ex-film students are either rolling their eyes or convulsing on the floor from the trauma of being in school. And for the latter, same. But I think Casablanca still holds up. It's tightly written, dialogue is razor sharp and witty, the stakes are high, and the characters are well developed. They all have different motivations that intersect and conflict with each other. The cinematography is also beautiful. How they use light and shadow is incredible. There is hardly any bad things in the film, except maybe it's a bit cheesy at times. It is as close as a perfect film you can get. But I consider this a Scorpio film because of the mystery and suspense. Scorpios are known to be mysterious and intense, but the film is also hopeful and aspirational, which is perfect for the sign because they are so contradictory. It gives you whiplash. They're cold but passionate. They act like they don't care, but they do a lot. Which brings me to the protagonist, Rick Blaine. A basket full of contradictions. Even 79 years later, Humphrey Bogart's performance is a masterclass on how to be interesting, complex, badass. He's constantly like, I don't really give a shit about anybody. Or his iconic line, I don't stick my neck out for anybody. But after 2 seconds, he gives into his humanity and helps out in any way he can. Like helping a young couple needing money to escape Casablanca, and making the ultimate sacrifice in the end to fight the Nazis, as one always should. Rick pulls the ultimate Scorpio move, which is hide the big softy they are by putting up a fragile, cynical, hard-ass front. He's brutally honest, and when he feels like he's been wronged, he goes for the jugular, as seen with his interactions with Elsa. When Scorpios are holding a grudge against you, it's fucking on. Zero are given. Casablanca is the best classic Hollywood film that still holds up in my opinion. Nothing drags, not a second is wasted, and the characters are all interesting and charismatic in their own ways. And the plot is solid. So even if you are a person that is put off by black and white films, I think you still enjoy it. So next up we have Prisoners, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I think that's how you pronounce it. I swear. I tried pronouncing it before. I thought it was Villeneuve. Like the show Catching Eve. It's late. It's a crime thriller revolving around two men. Keller Dover, played by Hugh Jackman, is a carpenter pushed to his extreme when his young daughter goes missing and suspects a mentally ill man as the culprit. Keller uses inhumane and violent methods to try to figure out where his daughter is. Meanwhile, Detective Loki, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, is also on the quest of finding Keller's daughter, but uses logic and rationale instead. The movie highlights into a positive and negative in Scorpio, which is their unrelenting nature. Scorpios can be so f***ing driven, they can do the near impossible. They don't give up, especially if it's something they care about. And it's obvious in the movie with Keller and Detective Loki, as they are non-stop when trying to reach their goal. The movie is very brutal and very disturbing. I wouldn't go as far as a one watch is enough, unless you're very sensitive. But it's still up there and scary as shit, especially when you follow the character Keller, who goes to some dark places. Hugh Jackman is a classically handsome guy, and you're just like, oh hey, it's Wolverine and the Greatest Showman. But in this movie, he's terrifying. There are also religious undertones to the film. Water signs tend to be more spiritual and are typically active in whatever religion they are in. It's a dark, heavy, unrelenting movie, and it's perfect for Scorpio. There's twists and turns. Performances are Oscar worthy. Hugh Jackman deserved all the Oscars, all the Tonys. That's theater. It doesn't matter. He deserved it. All of them. All of them. He needed all the awards for this performance. So I highly recommend this movie. It's unbelievably underrated, and it shouldn't be. It's well crafted, and I think it's one of the top crime thrillers in film, period. And continuing on our trail in the macabre, we have Knights of the Hunter, made in 1955, directed by Charles Laughton. Knights of the Hunter is a Southern Gothic thriller about two young children trying to survive a religious serial killer named Harry Powell, who is after stolen money left by the children's deceased criminal father. Harry uses his charms to seduce the mother. Woman, why? Like, the dude reeks of crazy, but okay, we'll try to vibe. And the guy is straight wildin', gives zero and kills whoever gets in his way between him and the money, which includes multiple attempts of child murder. Similar to Prisoners, the film represents Scorpio's persistent nature and also their need for control and how they can be subject to being fanatical with what they believe in. Harry Powell as a character, he's hardcore with his radical religious beliefs, controls and manipulates those around him to conform to his ways. He's the creepiest, disturbing character, hands down. The levels he will go is beyond evil, and he has the audacity to call himself a man of God. Even though the film is very dark, there is the duality of kindness and compassion shown by multiple characters, especially the old woman character who takes in the two children who are basically the protagonists and does everything she can to protect them. Knights of the Hunter is a great movie and it's haunting. And also, Henry Powell gives absolutely zero Bruh, this guy's creepy. Next up, we have Bad Times at El Royale, made in 2018, directed by Drew Goddard. It's a mystery thriller set in 1969, where a group of strangers, a fake cleric, a singer, two sisters on the run, and a travel salesman check into a hotel located on the border between Nevada and California. Trouble ensues when a cult leader and his followers ambush the hotel, and there's a hunt for cash filled with enough money to change anyone's life. The film is well-crafted, fun ride. I love the mix of the 60s and early 70s style. The cinematography is like, you go girl, you get that go. Stellar. Like, it's gaudy and seedy at the same time. The characters are so entertaining. The most sympathetic characters are the fake cleric, Donald O'Keller, played by Jeff Bridges, and the singer, Darlene Sweet, played by Cynthia Erivo. And their performances are amazing, especially from Cynthia Erivo, a powerhouse talent. Beautiful singer, absolutely crushes this role, like give this woman all the awards, all of them. Just give it to her. Just dump the opportunities onto her feet. And Thor, Chris Hemsworth, was also really good as a villain. He was intimidating, charming, cult leader. It's a good Charlie Manson-esque performance. Also, Dakota Johnson and John Hamm was also pretty good too. Darkly funny, well-paced, Hitchcockian film. Shamefully underrated. Once it came out, everyone immediately forgot about it, which is insane because it's a very crowd-pleasing film with great suspense and fun characters. We are going back to 1955 with Rebel Without a Cause, directed by Nicholas Ray. So the film is about a troublemaking teen named Jim Stark, played by James Dean. He moves to a new town for a clean start, but trouble continues to find him as he is confronted by school bullies. You know, the Stephen King kind, you know, that tries to kill you in broad daylight. He also falls for a girl named Judy, played by Natalie Wood, who used to date one of the bullies who tries to commit murder in broad daylight, and befriends an outcast named Plato, played by Sal Mineo. Scorpios follow the beat to their own drum, and they will never stand down to anyone, and the film is a great representation of that aspect. Scorpios can be rebellious and cool, which is why a lot of people are attracted to Scorpios, because they seem untouchable and sexy, and no one plays that level of attractiveness and beauty like James Dean, who continues to be an enduring icon. And the story supports the rebel aesthetic, as it centers on young people trying to escape the boredom of suburbia and pushing against the norm set by their parents' generation. Wow, sounds familiar? Feels like now. There's a freedom and liberation to the film as you watch Jim and the other characters run around and do dangerous shit like racing, drinking, and running in the outskirts. The three main characters played by James Dean, Natalie Wood, and Sal Mineo are all amazing. Also, there's some great undertones between James Dean and Sal Mineo. It's there and I live for it. And the film is another great introduction to classic melodramas and teen dramas. Before Euphoria, you had Rebel Without a Cause. Zendaya's character Rue is definitely a reincarnation of James Dean character Jim Stark. I'm telling the truth. And next we have Lady Snowblood, made in 1973, directed by Toshiya Fujita, starring Miko Kaiji as the beautiful assassin Yuki, aka Lady Snowblood. She goes on a bloody quest to kill 3 people who abused and murdered her family. Does the plot sound familiar? If you're a fellow Tarantino fan, it should. Lady Snowblood heavily influenced Tarantino's revenge action film Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I almost thought Lady Snowblood was an Aries film, but after reading up about the sign Scorpio and getting a better understanding, I decided it does qualify. I suppose a lot of revenge films are great for Scorpios. Scorpios are vengeful and they hold a hell of a grudge. And also revenge films obviously falls on the dark side of life. They're not just about revenge, but it's also about determination and moving mountains to get done. And this film in particular shows that even though it's a very, very violent and harsh story world, there's moments of tenderness, especially with the character Yuki. She's a badass with a kind heart, which can be said about many Scorpios. She's kind and treats people who deserve it respect, but she'll flip around and f your shit up. The writing and direction complements her into a compelling character, and you really do root for her to succeed, and her action scenes are just fantastic. It's a fun watch if you're a Tarantino fan or want to venture into Japanese cinema. Yeah. You know. We know, you know. And next we have Basic Instinct, created in 1992 and directed by Paul Verhoeven. It's a neo-noir film about sex, and more sex. A rock star is murdered and the prime suspect is a beautiful crime novelist, Catherine, played by Sharon Stone. The case is investigated by Nick Curran, but things get complicated when he falls in love with Catherine, even though evidence is stacking up against her, and must find out the truth of the matter. The film is everything a Scorpio needs: mystery, sex, and passion. The film is mostly about power, control, and manipulation. Cause, no offense to Scorpios, but they're pretty into that. Like the theme to most mysteries, Scorpios try to force order into chaos. And you see this need for control and order with the relationship between Nick and Catherine. Catherine represents chaos and Nick spends the entire movie trying to control. I noticed that with Scorpios, they try to force things and put everything into neat boxes, but they end up disappointed because life is not a well-contained box, it's chaos. You can't control people and have everything in order all the time, because life is a and if a Scorpio can't come to terms with that, then they can get on a dark path. The movie is a classic erotic thriller that's done right. Looking at you, 50 Shades of Grey and 365 Days. It's one of the very few erotic Hollywood movies that is actually good. And it's because you have a good story with great characters and performances. Sharon Stone became a legend in the role as Catherine and steals the entire movie. And also Michael Douglas is really good too. It's very sexy. The mystery and suspense is compelling, and if you haven't already seen it already, there's some twists you don't see coming. It's definitely a good date night movie or a fun thriller that holds up very well. So that's all we have for films. Lastly, we have TV show recommendations. 2 TV shows that are Scorpio-esque, which is Breaking Bad, created by Vince Gilligan. The show was about a chemistry teacher named Walter White, played by Bryan Cranston, who lives in middle-class suburbia with his wife Skylar, played by Anna Gunn, and his teenage son who has a disability named Walter Jr., played by RJ Met. Walter White tries to make ends meet with a baby on the way, and to make matters worse, he is diagnosed with terminal cancer. The diagnosis sparks Walter into action and making sure his family can live comfortably if he passes away. He partners up with a former student, Jesse Pinkman, played by Aaron Paul, who was a drug dealer, to make an illegal business out of selling meth. And as Walter gets deeper and deeper into crime, he becomes more power hungry and more villainous. I'm pretty sure many people already seen the show, but for people who haven't, it's a well-written and well-structured show. Walter White's transition from a mild-mannered, meek everyman to a dangerous, power-hungry crime lord is organic, satisfying, and twisted to watch. People praise Walter to death, but the guy does some really f***ed up shit, but somehow he never crosses the lines of being unwatchable, which is an amazing feat. And he also does a lot of impressive stuff because of his intelligence. And the heart of the show is him weaving and manipulating his way to the top. And all the other characters are great too. Jesse Pinkman is fantastic. His interaction with Walter and their relationship is tragic and sadistic. Throughout the show, Walter controls and manipulates Jesse to the point where by the end of it, Jesse is broken in the most unimaginable way. Jesse is such a tragic person, more so than Walter, because deep down, despite his faults and his mistakes, he still has morals and humanity and kindness, qualities that Walter loses by the end of the show. And personally, I like Jesse way more than Walter. Another great character is Hank Schrader, played by Dean Norris. He's Walter's brother-in-law and in the DEA. He has an interesting character arc as well. He's the main antagonist in the show, even though he's literally the good guy. But at the same time, he's kind of racist, and he's also a machismo jerk. And I'm not gonna lie, he has some funny moments, and his relationship with his wife Marie was very real, realistic, and sweet. And then we have Skylar White. Okay, this might be a controversial opinion, but I didn't mind Skylar. Sorry, do not come for me. Do not come for me. Like, I don't hate her like how everyone else does, but she's definitely not my favorite. I thought all the things she did were pretty reasonable. I don't know. Maybe it's a cultural thing or a race thing. Maybe it's because I was obviously raised by a black mom where you're constantly being shouted at and whoopings were essential to growing up. And I'm just looking at Skylar like, whoa, dealing with her compared to what I'm used to is a walk in the park. Had it been a black woman in her situation, the show would have ended in season 1. Maybe you'll get halfway to season 2, but the would have been shut the down. So I thought Skylar was well written and a complex character, and a surprising adversary to Walter in the end. And her story is very sad, and it's kind of crazy how people just hate her even though she's a victim. Like an actual victim, not like Karen victimhood, but a real victim in a situation. So the show's a great crime show. It's violent, it's grim, delves way into the darker side of Scorpio with manipulation, power, control, abuse. And in regards to substance abuse, Scorpios are more susceptible to that, especially alcohol. The unrelenting nature and what they want, which is shown in characters like Walter and many of his adversaries like Gus Fringe. Vengefulness and ego. Scorpios, it's like Scorpios can be like a lot. They can be a lot sometimes. And I just want to chill, and they're just like, eh. And I'm just like, okay. And they're just like, and I'm like, I don't know what the I'm doing, sorry. The last of the recommendations for Scorpio is The Boys, based on the comic book of the same name created by Garth Ennis. It's an Amazon original show set in a world just like ours, except there are superheroes managed by a corporation named Vault. All is well until one day an average young man named Huey witnesses the murder of his girlfriend by a superhero similar to the Flash named A-Train, as he runs right through her and makes her into a human jelly. And that's like 2 seconds into the show. Yo, we in some shit. Huey is then recruited by a mysterious guy named Butcher. Red flag, red flag, red flag, just waving. But whatever, we're just going to ignore red flag. To join his group of misfits named the Boys, who dedicate their lives in keeping superheroes in check because they may be super, but they're not always heroes. Superheroes, or supes, are presented as good and heroic to the general public, but behind closed doors, a lot of them are the most sadistic, disgusting, horrific beings on Earth, especially the main antagonist, Homelander, the anti-Superman. I will warn you, if you are sensitive to sexual assault and abuse, you might want to give this a skip. But for the rest of us who revel in the macabre, this show is beautifully up. It's savage. It gives zero fuck. But at the same time, it gives a biting and no bullshit commentary on society. Like, maybe we should stop hero worshipping people, or else they will turn into psychotic egomaniacs who think they are above everything, and American commercialism as it turns everything into a consumable product. There's also plenty of sex. It's hella violent, the most violent thing I am recommending. Even though it's a superhero show, it's terrifying, mostly because it's about ordinary people going against invincible monsters. Most of the characters are great, especially Homelander. Homelander is the most disturbing, horrifying character I have ever seen, period. Butcher is basically like Homelander, but to a lesser degree, and, doesn't have any powers. He has good motivation to take Homelander and Vault down, and you do root for him, but the way he does it, it's kind of questionable. Huey and Starlight are my children. I claim them as mine. I do nothing but wish them the best. They are genuinely good people in a f***ed up, harsh world. Mother's Milk, yes, you heard that right. Mother's Milk. That is indeed the character's name. Mother's Milk. Nope. Mother's Milk is also great. And hopefully in later seasons, we get to know him more. Frenchie and Kimiko are also good. They have a sweet relationship. Alright, let me get extra venomous. First one, Storefront can die. The Deep can die to the lowest parts of hell. I can live without A-Train. Like, there are so many diverse characters that are all f***ed up but compelling. The show is a ride. The show I almost feel insane recommending this show to people. It's a ride. This is a roller coaster show. When you think it hasn't gotten any crazier, something absolutely bonkers happens next. So if you want savagery, then please watch The Boys. Well, that was the recommendations for the zodiac sign Scorpio. If you have other recommendations, please comment below. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications for more videos. You know you want more videos. Please do yourself a favor and subscribe to Trash. Like, please come into the trash can with me and we can frolic. I'm going to push my way to the top of the food chain, curse people out, and give 0 fucks later.